Well, welcome back to the Scoreboard, that show that takes you into what's going on in the world of sport. And yes, I see your tweets coming in. Some of them are outrightly just funny, you know. Yes, Kenya is a last-minute country. We will definitely host, says Brian. You know, he's so sure that we're going to host it, although it's going to be very last-minute. The question I asked is, do you think that Kenya will be ready to host the AFCON 2027? And the tweets are very interesting. Yes, we will host for sure. We've got enough stadia. We only need to be serious in upgrading them. That's another tweet that is coming. And there'll be a lot more as well. These other gentlemen will be reading some of what they have as well. But right now, I want to talk about the volleyball playoffs. You know, some sports are not given the prominence that they deserve. And just recently, we had the Malkia Strikers qualifying for the 2024 Paris Olympics. But the men are not yet there, and that is what we need to talk about as well. They went for the qualifiers. They didn't do very well. They ended up not too near from the top. Yet the women have won it all together. But the playoffs were going on at Kasarani, and the man we have to talk to today is the president of the Kenya Volleyball Federation, Mr. Charles Nyaberi. You are an old administrator in volleyball. You have been in volleyball for as long as volleyball has existed in this country. Welcome to the studio one more time.
Thank you, Bernard.
I've never gotten the chance to personally tell you congratulations for having won the elections, of course, which were necessitated after also the demise of the former chairman. But now you are at the helm of it all. How would you rate where we are now in volleyball as a country, both men and women, before we go specifics?
Yeah, in volleyball, we're actually on track, although we could be doing better, just like you've rightly said. The women are now on top of Africa. There's no question about it. They had this emphatic win in Cameroon, and we were there to personally witness it. They won the Africa Cup of Nations for the 10th time. And then in the process, they qualified for the Olympics in Paris 2024. And at the same time also qualified for the World Championships next year. So it means we'll be going back a second time. We were there in Poland and Netherlands last year. And it means now next year again, we'll be back there. And also besides that, the ranking, that helped improve our ranking from 21st in the World Championships. The best that we have attained so far has been the 21st position out of 24, but this time we took 19th position. Okay. So that is okay. At least the ladies, we are on track. And also there is very good signs of better things to come even for the Malkia Strikers, because today we had a long conversation with our world body FIVB, who have promised to renew our volleyball empowerment project contract for the third record time, and which means the Kenya team, the Malkia Strikers, will be afforded overseas training and also special technical assistance from the topmost volleyball coaches in the world.
That seems to have worked for the team, even as they were going for the qualifying rounds, you know, just having gone to train outside of the country in Europe, and then I think in Brazil. Did they go to Brazil? Or
yeah, last year they were in, 2 years ago they were in Brazil. Mm-hmm. They were in Brazil for 2.5 months.
Yes.
And then on to Serbia, which is the top, is the #1 country in the world. We had 2 weeks in Serbia. And also you remember Serbia is the home for our top sponsor, Mozartbet Kenya. And then from there they went on to Netherlands. This year, what happened is that we went for the 2-month training in Morocco, also under the tutelage of the 6 coaches who are seconded to us by FIVB, seconded and paid for by FIVB. And then after that, we moved on to France for the Challenger Cup, which is a top-notch competition. It's an elite competition. It involves the 6 teams, one on the top one from each continent. That was very good preparation. Then from there, we moved to Cameroon for the Africa Cup of Nations. And we had a very good run. We beat the hosts, Cameroon, who have been a pain in our side for many years.
Correct.
We beat them 3-1, and then went on to whitewash Egypt 3-0 in the finals, with actually the last set, Kenya taking it 25-14. Very emphatic, and we won 3 of the 6 individual awards, at stake.
Now, I don't want to ask all the questions. They have questions as well. But we are doing well with the ladies' team. Why are we not doing so well with the men's team? This cooperation you're talking about, is it only for the women's team? Is it also for the men's team? Let's start from home, where you are in the playoffs, which were the season ender for volleyball. KCB have waited 15 years. Now they have won the title. They beat Kenya Pipeline 3-1 in the women's volleyball. Pipeline had won the first set, and then I think it was 25-19, and then the second set, 25-19, 25-21, and 25-21 for the KCB side. The men's finals, GSU beat Prisons 3-0, straight sets. But when they go to the Continentals to try and qualify, and that was very recent, I think less than 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, they didn't do well.
Yeah, I'd attribute it. Actually, we have a very competitive national men's league at home. And, going by the results that we witnessed the last 3 days, we have what it takes to actually come to the top of Africa in time. But right now, we can blame the lackluster performance of the men's team on 2 things. One is the fact that the men's competition in Africa is it's cutthroat. It's very competitive. The countries in the north, they perfected their beat because they have constant outings to Europe, which of course houses the best teams. And then they also export a lot of the individual players to go and play professional elsewhere. Something that we have also copied from them. Right now we have about 7 men out there playing professional, including some of the best like Abiud Chirchir and Captain Enoch Mugeni. The real undoing is the fact that in the course of the year, we've not been able to get our team to train together long enough, partly because of lack of resources, and also partly because of we've not gotten a real solid sponsor for the men's team like we have done for the ladies. For the ladies now, for the 3rd season running, we have a definite sponsor who underwrites a lot of our expenses, including some of those ones involved in taking them abroad. But all is not lost, because in 2021 we proved the world wrong. Actually, the men's national team in Rwanda, they beat Egypt for the first time in history.
That was a big celebration.
Yeah, and it was not a fluke. I was there, I saw it happening.
We are convinced it was a fluke.
Yeah, all that we need to do is just perfect that beat, become more consistent, have more competitions at home, export more players, and also have better competition. Maybe we find ways of getting sponsorship that can take our teams out, to some of these championships. But they'll get there.
This sounds like our usual problems that we've had for such a long time. Let me just shift this to a different way of looking at it. I've looked at the players from Egypt, or the players from Cameroon for that matter. They are extremely tall, and they're extremely athletic, powerful as well. Should we start from the recruiting stage? How deeply are you involved as the Volleyball Federation in the recruitment of the players? Because if a club recruits, they might recruit only what they want, which might not be feeding into the national team.
Actually, what is happening is that it's not even at the recruitment level. What is happening with a country, for example, like Cameroon, the Francophone teams, the Francophone countries have very close relationship with their former colonial master France. Yes. A lot of the players in the men's and women's team in Cameroon actually fly direct from their clubs in France mostly, and a few other countries, to come to the venue. So what we need to do is right now we have very good coaches actually who do very good recruitment. But the thing is that our national team has not had enough time of gelling, and getting together and performing. So you find it's basically individuals trying to put their best foot forward.
Okay.
6 individuals trying to put their best foot forward, which is not, it cannot give you the superlative kind of results that you need. But our plan, our dream, and the new office which has just taken off about a month ago, our dream is to get occasion for this team to train together longer at home, expose them within the region and beyond, and also get quite a number of our players to play for teams that are more highly rated out there. Because when they come back...
Most probably that means going professional.
They're quite a number, but the scouts go to the top competitions to recruit. Unfortunately, we've not been able to take our teams there. Okay, so what happens also is that you keep getting promoted per season. You start in the lower ranks, but now we have people like Enoch Mogeni and Abud Chirchir, and we have Kosirai. Actually, our player, our middle blocker, Kosirai, was voted the best center player in Africa. But he was playing for an external, a Tunisian club.
Okay.
So with that more exporting, and also a more vigorous and a competitive local league, which we want to make very consistent this time.
Okay.
We want to make sure that we don't spread it too thin, so that the players can have more frequent outings against one another.
Bungei here, the champion, wants to ask you something. I can see him really, he's on the leash. He wants to jump, and we need to give him a chance.
Yeah, sure. First, Mr. President, congratulations. I remember when we hosted you some time back here, you are going to be looking for the seat, and we are happy that you got it. Just maybe 1 or 2 questions. Of course, some of it you have touched it. Because I'm looking at, the players themselves, and especially when you have talked about the difference between our women and the men. You have talked about the fact that, most of our women, they have been exposed to even the best teams. Now, my question is that, what can we do? Because if you look at, for example, in athletics, we have got scouters who come to scout here. I've heard you saying that, they go to these other big teams. Now, as a federation, you as the president, what are you going to do so that we can attract the scouting persons, that can be able to take these our players out there, so that if they are exposed, at least when they come back, they can be able to play better?
Thank you. There are actually 2 sides of looking at it, because also besides training a volleyball team to play well together, you first of all have to prepare the individual, physically, mentally, psychologically, all round. And what we've done, we had a high performance training that was conducted for our top league teams by none other than Godfrey Owese Okumu, who is actually the most qualified level 3 in FIVB level 3 international coach. Although he's not based here, he is based in the Philippines. We are having him come back again. We had FIVB level 1 and level 2 coaching courses to make sure that our coaches have got the requisite knowledge and approach. Then at the same time now, on the scouting beat, we are not going to wait for the scouts to come here. They will not come moving around to our respective clubs. We are going to vigorously market our league. We are going to vigorously market our federation kitty, so that we are able to take the team out. Take it to Africa Cup of Nations more often. Go to other regional, zonal competitions. Have friendlies against top teams. Maybe one time make a tour of our dream, like the Malkia Strikers have done in the past. They've taken a 6-month tour of Japan. In fact, that was the turnaround. That's when volleyball was revolutionized under Hiroshi Yama and later
was
under,
that the JICA Corporation?
Under Onishi, yeah, with that support.
Okay.
They seconded the national head coach here, and they had 12 coaches in the provinces. So the 12 coaches were...
That was for the women's team, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that likely to be done for the men's team? Because the worry is more of the men's team now.
That's what we want to do. And also we want to avoid this bias where it's looked at like the federation only thinks and cares and looks for resources for the ladies team. We're also going to look for the ladies team. In fact, the men's team are also one step ahead in that we now have a professional team like Trailblazers. It's still young and on the offing. And you see, we also have a few players from outside. We have players from Rwanda. We have a player from Rwanda. We have one from Cameroon, and we have one from Tanzania. But you know, we'll also open the gates for external players to come, good ones to come here and also join.
How easy is it for players? Because if you notice, especially the men's teams, we have prisons, we have we have GSU. All these are people who are in military service, in paramilitary service. How easy is it for them to go professional? Should they get a professional stint?
Oh, it's very easy. They have very understanding employers. A lot of those players who are out there were actually attached to teams. Some of them were full-time employees, but the employers have been very considerate. They give them leave of absence, paid leave to go out there. Abud Chirchir is with the General Service Unit. We have another player, Meli, who was also with the General Service. We have another player with prisons, etc., etc.
Because we have to look at this differently as well, because we might be doing the same thing over and over again. If you look at a player of Ken's height,
yeah.
No, you don't have to stand. Can just stay there. Yeah, a player of Ken's height is probably what you need for volleyball. Your height, President, is probably what you need for volleyball.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've watched the Egyptian players or even the Cameroonian players. The one thing they have is that reach. They are tall, and then again they are physically athletic, fit. Do we need to start from there? The other question is, what is the facilities that we need to have? Because we've got to change the way we are approaching this. You might be doing the best, putting the structures, having the league running, but if we have the smaller of the players, we'll only play among ourselves here, be beaten at the next level. Should we now also focus on what kind of players we are having alongside these structures that we're having?
The height is not really a problem per se. We have tall players. I'm telling you, when I stand in the midst, I'm dwarfed. I'm a short man. But then these tall players need preparation. They need strengthening, structured, personal grooming and strengthening. Gym training, strength training.
Strength and conditioning. That is coming out.
Strength and conditioning.
Yes.
And we started off, we are now having those courses. But you see also at the same time, even if you train coaches on strength and conditioning, and they don't have access to power training gyms, that is also another undoing.
So
our greatest undoing is the few number of hours that our players have access to indoor facilities.
What do you want? What would be on your wish list?
Our wish list, our dream list, something that we dream of every night, is that like now with the devolved systems, if at least 10 of our 47 counties, if we could have an indoor gym. You see, like athletics, we forget that athletics is doing so well, but there are so many tartan tracks in this country, including some private ones like the Lona Kiplagat one.
Yes.
So volleyball, we not only need those facilities, we need them to be affordable.
Okay.
Kasaran is there. Kasaran right now is the only one that is there, indoor gym.
Yes.
But you have to pay an arm and a leg to access Kasarani. So what happens?
You pay an arm and a leg when you don't even have an arm.
Yeah. Okay. So you only left with the one arm and one leg. So what happens is that 90% of the time you are playing out on grass.
Yeah.
You can't do skills like diving on hard ground.
You're gonna hurt yourself.
Some of the courts are made of tarmac,
Okay.
which is of course a hazard. So
when you've made your point,
yeah. So actually, the
you
fast.
express yourself so well. You've taken the bulk of our time today. We didn't even have a point to ask the questions, but we need to look at what's going on over the weekend. Just quickly, do you ever watch anything else? I always assume that if you are the Kenya volleyball president, then you just watch volleyball. What else do you get to watch?
I'm a diehard fan of Manu.
Yes.
Whether they are down,
of course.
Whether they are being hit 7-0,
exactly. No,
but
we won't hit
7-0.
So
I'm very consistent. And then my second team is Bayern Munich.
Bayern Munich, that's
because when I went for my international athletics coaching diploma training in Germany,
yes,
our language school was in Mainz.
In Mainz, okay.
Which is, sorry, before we went to Mainz, we were in Prien am Chiemsee, which is just in the south of Munich.
Okay.
So we
used to watch Bayern a lot. Yeah. All right, let's just take quickly, we don't have time to mention team by team. Let's just say what's going to happen over the weekend. I've already been given a cue for 1 minute.
The biggest thing that's happening this weekend is happening on Sunday, and it is the Chicago Marathon.
We've got the Chicago Marathon this weekend. We've got the English Premier League going on as well.
Yes, and then we have, of course, our local league is ongoing. The Cricket World Cup also started this morning.
Kothubiro is also going on this weekend. Yes. I think we're going into the semi-final stage now.
The Genoa Tens Rugby in Homa Bay.
It's not Genoa, it's
Genoa.
Genoa.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Genoa. It's a very good initiative by the governor of Homa Bay, Gladys Wanga. It's called Genoa, which means our hope. Our hope rugby again. Our hope. We hope that. So it's a new 10-a-side rugby tournament.
So Friday they have the schools, and Saturday they have the main event.
This is one of those days you wish to fly into Homa Bay and see what's going on there. But also we've got the Chicago Marathon. We said there's also Formula One.
Yes,
this
weekend. Formula One in Qatar.
It's in Qatar as well. Okay.
Certainly, yes.
Great.
Of course, the English Premier League. Your team is
President, what will you be watching?
Brentford.
If I could, I would have gone for the Genoa. And I'm glad that she's diversifying, because she has sponsored one of our best upcountry beach volleyball competitions at Mbita.
President, yes.
Mbita Point, yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. We have to thank you for having come to talk to us. Again, time runs very quickly when you're in good company. I've seen your tweets again. As usual, the time is the one that is not on our side, but we've got to thank Charles Zaberi for having come to talk to us about volleyball. Now we know what's going on, but we've got to go now. We'll see you next week.